Marsh, thank you guys very much. Obviously, you'll stay on top of this as it changes hour to hour here. Let's talk about all the legal challenges, the implications, and the precedents that we're looking at this weekend. Jonathan Turley is with me. He's a professor of law at Georgetown, also a constitutional law scholar. You know what? Let me just get you to address this first, because what's surprising to me is that the White House came out in opposition to this, obviously, last night, but they haven't done anything legally about it. Do you get the sense that they did not have a motion for an emergency appeal ready?
Well, I actually on the blog today said that we saw two fairly significant blunders out of the Justice Department, which is surprising in such a high-profile controversy. First, I would have had an emergency motion of appeal ready to go. They clearly didn't, and it really undermines their case with courts. If they're saying that this is an imminent national security matter, it's a little odd if they wait a few days or over 24 hours to file an emergency motion. It really should have been ready to go within minutes of that order coming down. The second mistake is they overestimated the number of visas that a court order by almost a little over 40%. Those are the types of mistakes you don't often see in high-profile cases.
So you've got this ruling by the federal judge in Washington state, but then you also have a ruling by a judge in Boston refusing to extend the temporary restraining order in Massachusetts. So just explain for our viewers why the Washington judge's ruling gets precedent, and if another federal judge can reverse this, can stay this.
Well, it really doesn't get precedent, or doesn't trump the other judge. No pun intended. The point is that the Boston judge refused to stay this executive order. He concluded that President Trump has this authority. The other judge disagreed and imposed a nationwide temporary restraining order. So you have two judges that reached different conclusions. That's not unheard of in a matter of legal controversy. But the judge that issued the national restraining order is the one that has the power here to stop these enforcement measures from being carried out. It is within his authority to do that.
So then what happens? I mean, do you believe that we could see a standoff, essentially, between the president and the courts, some of the highest courts in this nation, something we haven't seen in decades?
Well, I mean, we are still a nation of law, and despite the overheated rhetoric, the courts have intervened and they're reviewing this matter. I think, if anything, the law favors President Trump on this. I think his attorneys have probably told him that, but this will be reviewed. It'll likely be taken up on appeal, and it could very well be appealed to the Supreme Court. The thing to keep in mind, this could also become moot. Because this is a temporary suspension, that time may run out. But in the interim, we're going to have some differing opinions. There's good faith arguments on both sides.
And when you say that the law is on the president's side, you believe in this, you're citing the same law that Sean Spicer, the White House spokesman, cited in his response last night, right? Saying that whenever the president finds the entry of any aliens or any class of aliens to the U.S. that would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may essentially stop them from coming.
Well, first of all, I've objected to this executive order. I don't particularly like it. I think it's a mistake. But the existing law goes beyond just that immigration statute. The president has found to have plenary authority by the Supreme Court, which describes his power at its zenith on our borders. Moreover, I think the other side is overstating a bit the authority they're using to challenge this. There's a 1965 law that they're relying on. But that law doesn't deal with refugees. It also has an exception for changes in procedures. And finally, I don't think any court can really treat this like a Muslim ban, even though people keep on talking about it as such. It's not legally a Muslim ban. And the court normally does not get into motivation. It doesn't speculate as to where this may take us. It looks solely at whether the president can do what he just did.
And that's exactly what that judge in Boston said when he refused to extend that temporary restraining order. Jonathan, thank you for your expertise. We appreciate it. Coming up for us here, the political fallout from the president's ban being put on hold and how the White House is handling it. Also from London to Sydney, protests held around the world, voices raised against the U.S. president. And on the cover of magazines, the story behind this eye-catching image, plus political football.